and suddenly you're like, well, I have no fear. It just means, yeah, I have the fear, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways because I know whatever decision I'm making, it's not going to get me eaten.
Yeah. Hey friends, welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm Christine Bullock, founder of KO Body Care, certified fitness trainer and mom of 2 little girls who's just trying to juggle it all and feel as good as possible. I'm so grateful that you're here. Now let's get started, sexy. Hey everyone, welcome back to Keep It Simple Sexy. I hope you're having a wonderful day today so far, and this will brighten it up a little bit more today. Well, we talk about how stress affects our health all the time on this wellness podcast. And my belief is fear is one of the major causes of stress and anxiety on the body. Fear of not reaching our dreams, or even fear of the outcome when we do reach our goals. Why do we do this to ourselves? What's the worst that can happen? One of the greatest lessons that has changed my life the most in all aspects is that fear is a sign of where you need to be. You need to chase down your fears. Sounds like the opposite of what we tell our kids, like don't run towards danger. But fear is too often confused with danger. And when it comes to our personal and work life, fear is a major sign to what we truly desire. Dreams so deeply planted, destinies waiting to happen. And that scares the bejesus out of us. But once you learn to chase that first big fear, the others don't seem so big and unattainable. Today, I have one majorly fearless woman, Rebecca Minkoff, to share how to take on challenges of life head on, overcome fear, break the rules, and achieve those scary dreams, no matter how unattainable they may seem. An industry leader in accessible luxury handbags, accessories, footwear, and apparel, Rebecca Minkoff's modern bohemian designs are inspired by strong, confident, and powerful women who are drawn towards a West meets East sensibility. In 2001, Rebecca designed a version of the I Love New York t-shirt as part of a 5-piece capsule collection, which appeared on The Tonight Show and became an overnight sensation. In 2005, Rebecca designed her first handbag, which she dubbed the Morning After bag. This iconic bag ignited Rebecca's career as a handbag designer and inspired her edgy feminine creations in years to come. And after 4 years of designing statement-making handbags and accessories with her trademark leather, studs, and hardware, love, had so many of them, Rebecca returned to her roots of apparel design and introduced her first ready-to-wear collection in 2009. And today, Rebecca Minkoff is a global brand with a wide range of apparel, handbags, footwear, jewelry, and accessory products. Now, in September of 2018, she established the Female Founder Collective, a network of businesses led by women who invest in women's financial power across a socio-economic spectrum by enabling and empowering female-owned business. That's pretty amazing. She's the author of Fearless, the new rules for unlocking creativity, courage, and success, which we're going to get into today. And she has a podcast called Super Women you got to tune into. Rebecca has received numerous awards and works with just as many charities. She's also married to director Gavin Bellour, and they reside in Brooklyn with their 3 kiddos. She's a mama. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for that amazing introduction.
Well, of course, that's your bio. You're amazing. And I cut it. So, but I thought, sometimes our intros aren't as long, but I really wanted to go into that because as we talk about being fearless today, what your book is all about, it's a kind of like it's a biography of what you've learned through all of those experiences of designing your life, of doing all these things, right?
Yeah.
And that fear can really just inhibit us. Think of all the things you couldn't have done or wouldn't have done if fear got in your way.
Yeah, I think that people experience an emotion that's hardwired into us. It was put there to keep us safe in caveman days from being eaten alive. And then we take that same emotion that is trying to warn us of danger, but it gets applied to taking a risk or going after your dream, and then it can halt you in your tracks. And I think, the point of the book wasn't that you read it and suddenly you're like, well, I have no fear. It just means, yeah, I have the fear, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways because I know whatever decision I'm making, it's not going to get me eaten.
Yeah. Well, let's back up a little bit and go into your background, because you had to learn this, first of all, right? I
Yep.
mean, I'm sure it wasn't hardwired to not be fearful
Correct.
to start off with. And I read that WWD, they called your journey to major success unorthodox, which I love. How did it all begin? Did you study fashion? Did you study business? What was so unorthodox about it?
I think they call it unorthodox for a couple of reasons. Back when I started my company, there was a very traditional way of achieving success. You worked for a designer for many years, or you'd had to do the hard work. You had to come up. Someone there might spot your talent and ask you to go work for a bigger company, and that would happen. And then maybe when you're 40, you'd get the opportunity for someone to fund you and start your own line. And most of the gatekeepers, magazine editors, and again, these, haloed stores like Barney's, were the ones that would be like, oh, the new anointed one. And it was very controlled. And so I think that when I did launch my company in 2001 with the t-shirt and a small apparel line, and then in 2005 with the morning after bag, the momentum occurred because of the consumer. And for the first time ever, you could talk to your consumer online, which again was not something that was done. And so I talked to her online, and as social media evolved, continued that dialogue. And I think that was very unorthodox at the time, very looked down upon. But we're here because of it. We're here because we didn't follow. I want to go into Anna Wintour's office and say, big mistake, big.
She knows it.
She still won't talk to me, but still, whatever. One day.
She's not the end all be all.
Oh, I know that, girlfriend. She doesn't.
I know. What can you say? Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, now look. I mean, we see all these like young girls and gentlemen creating these businesses on social media because of that availability to do all this now as well. I mean, even myself with my business too, it's the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's leveled the playing field for so many people. It also makes it that much harder to stand out, but that's another challenge.
And I think too, one of the things that I read in your bio too was, I mean, you moved to New York, couple dollars, and no real contacts, no, wonderful parents and a wonderful family, but they were like, okay, you're going to, we support you, but you get to do this. Right. And it wasn't like, somebody was like putting you up, giving you an apartment, paying for the down payments for, your first I Love New York t-shirts, all of that. Like, it was you really being passionate about this.
It was only passion. That is what fueled me. Passion, and I would eat hope for dinner. I think that my parents raised us with this mentality always from a young age. If you want it, earn it. And it was very much the law of the land in my house that you didn't just get bought anything you wanted. You had to earn it and get a job and then figure it out yourself. So while I watched other stage moms sew their daughters' ribbons on their ballet shoes, or sign them up for camp, or enroll them in certain classes, or book flights to go visit friends, my mom was like, you can do it, figure it out.
That's me. Okay. That makes me feel better. I'm like, maybe I'm tough on my 5-year-old. Jeez.
No, you're not. I do the same thing. My daughter doesn't care. She'll be just like, I don't want it that badly anyways. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool. I'm so
cool.
glad this is working.
Yeah. I know.
I did feel better. I was talking with someone, I think it was Gary Vayner, and he said that our kids, at least in New York City, and I'm not sure where you're located, but the bar is already so high for what is normal, even if you don't spoil them. Mm-hmm. The fact that they live in New York City and they get to take an Uber somewhere, they go to these crazy parties that people throw for kids launch events. He's like, the bar is already so high that when you're like, hey, you got to like mop the floors to get your toy, they're like, well, I know I'll get a toy at that event where there's swag, so it's different from when I was growing up, and it was like, everyone, we're going to share a small fry at McDonald's.
Toy for Christmas. Yeah.
Right,
McDonald's
exactly.
was a treat, man. I know.
Exactly.
I'm in Los Angeles and I grew up in Pittsburgh. So, and my husband's from Pittsburgh too. And we always have these kind of discussions. Yeah. And I canceled the birthday party this year because I was like, I'm not doing this big thing. We're just going to go do an experience together. Like, you know,
100%.
Well, you also work with so many charities, speaking of kids too, like Baby to Baby, but it seems like you really have a heart and passion for supporting other women achieve more. You started Female Founder Collective, where women entrepreneurs invest in other women-owned businesses, and your podcast, Super Women, obviously is about supporting the growth of other women. Why are you so passionate about giving back? And specifically, what is it about supporting women in all stages of growth, personal and business related, that drives you to dedicate so much of your time?
I think it started, again, back to the fashion industry. You know, outside of our industry, you hear about the glass ceiling and all the stuff that comes with a male-dominated corporate environment. And in the fashion industry, it's women tearing other women apart. It's women throwing other women under the bus. So that was the environment I was used to. I was not used to women supporting each other. And then when I peered outside, you know, in 2015, 2016, and started saying, I'm so tired of these people. Who else is out there? And I was meeting more founders and women entrepreneurs. And I was like, wait, it's not equal. Oh, shit. This is a mess on both sides of the equation, right?
Yeah.
And so I just knew with all of this divide that I needed to find a way to ensure women could have support, access, education's ability to share only the things that founders know and experience with each other. And hopefully those shortcuts, those learnings, that education would make a woman that much more successful, or her path would be not 10 years, it could be 7. And so I launched it out of that. I didn't have a business plan. It wasn't like a strategy. And the groundswell of just women needing to unite and have a community that was specific. It was founders and their pain points. Mm-hmm. So now we have over 16,000 people in the community that are members.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. We have events every week, all touching on the unsexy stuff of business. Mm-hmm. And we pair women up. We give them access to capital. So it really is this great community of women that are there to help each other, support each other, give each other business. And to me, that's how you stop this cycle, both internally within fashion and then externally, where if you want to have your own business, here's the keys to success.
And you know what? We're going to get into fear soon too. Fear, I think, is a lack of understanding or education. And so what you end up providing people, no matter what stage of a business they're at, no matter if it's something that they're selling from their home or they want a huge global business and dominate the world with whatever their dream is the education of each step too, because I know, like, yeah, I'm an expert in wellness. I knew that, but there's a whole other side of the beauty business that I had to learn, right? And the actual business of it. Or we're going through our first A raise. So I have been doing just investment pitch. When we launched in like 2016, we were going to go through that process. And I remember being like, I could never do that. Oh my God, what am I going to say to these people? Now I'm like, oh, I love this. I love the lingo. I could do this. I love investing. So it's the fear, it's just education and just then jumping into it. And it's amazing to support women that way. Plus you have Female Founder Day, which we actually celebrated. I had a bunch of female founders on for a live. And I was like, Rebecca, do you want to come on? But you know what? I just read you started that day. What is it? Was it March, right?
Yeah, it's always around International Women's Day. We got the then governor at the time, to recognize us as our own day. So that was
amazing.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of being fearless, so, you're growing your global fashion company. You're supporting women all around the world with education and finance. Amazing. And then after 15 years working in the fashion industry, your 15-year anniversary, and during a global pandemic, you decide to write a book. What inspired the topic to be fearless?
So just to be fair, I got the book deal pre-pandemic. I don't think I would have ever woken up during the pandemic and said, "Let's write a book." That's the best use of my time right now. But it was in a way perfect timing, because as I was watching my company fall apart, lose 70% of its business, encounter challenges I could have never even imagined, in a way it felt like I was just starting over.
Yeah.
And so I went back and applied. I was like, what worked in 2005? How did I do this? How do we get, eyeballs and all these things that suddenly I had to just go back to my roots and what worked then. Let me reapply it now and see if those same things apply. So in a way to sort of wear test these rules that maybe had been dusty, was a way to say, okay, this actually works. This is going in the book. This one's not. And so I wrote the book. I would have hour-long calls with someone who would type for me, because I knew, again, where my boundaries are. I said, I'm going to talk. You're going to write. You're going to record this session, ask me questions accordingly. She was actually a friend of mine that had launched me, really. She wrote about me on Daily Candy, if anyone's old enough to remember that.
I read that article. I mean, I read the daily article. Yeah. And an article about that as well.
Yeah. So I talked, she wrote, and then we would have a lot of back and forth editing sessions. She would sort of bring stuff out of me that she knew I might have forgotten, because we've known each other for so long. And so I think looking back, it couldn't have been better timing. But I also called it fearless, because not to discount anyone who lost a loved one or who experienced struggle, the amount of fear that was aimed at us, that turned out not to even be that true, made me angry. And it made me angry that communities were torn apart. Friends were scared to hang out with each other. I mean, I had friends that wouldn't see me, like we were alone for so long. And I was like, does anybody want to hang out? I don't care if I get COVID. And so I think this fear mongering that still people have residual today made me very upset. And I said, you know what, here's a book that's going to teach you to sort of know that you can be fearful and just pursue your path anyways, and take your own path, and not be this blind human that just follows what someone else is saying.
Yeah, I love that. I know. It's like writing the intro, and I was like, almost mentioned COVID because it was so part of it. I was like, that's a whole other ballgame to get into, in the sense of the fear that we all felt beforehand. So agreed. It was a perfect timing, actually, for that to come out. Well, let's talk some of your tips. We love simple things that people can walk away from this podcast and apply immediately. One of your first tips is go for purpose over payout or paycheck. And coming from a background where I didn't have any safety net, I was literally working at 15 to buy my food and my clothes. This would have made me shake in my boots back in the day. And as a self-made entrepreneur who, you say, quote, wasn't spoon-fed your success, what are your tips to those who have dreams but are nervous to take those initial steps away from the punch card and towards those dreams?
This is what I would say is, if you start working at 25, you have 40 years that you're going to say, I'm going to work at a job I hate to get a paycheck, to then retire at 65 with enough money to really enjoy my life. And I'm getting 13 years, because the average age of death, is 78. So is it worth being miserable for 40 years just to be able to retire at 65 and have bad knees and be tired
and hopefully feel okay?
Yeah, exactly. Or do you take the risk? Do you pursue your passion and your dream? You're not going to make great money right away. I was married with roommates, just to put things in perspective. I was Rebecca Minkoff. We were 5 years in, and I was like scamming my roommates to pay electrical bills, just, like overcharging them just to cover my ass because I didn't have it. So this isn't some like lottery ticket that's guaranteed. But like, I was happy and I was fueled, and I couldn't, I would get up in the morning. It's all I did was work and see my then husband. And so I think that when you look at the long future ahead of you, wouldn't you rather try giving something your all and maybe struggling a little bit to eat and go out? I mean, when I say struggling, I would call the bank every night and go, do I have enough money in my account is before you could log online and see it. And that would determine if I would go out with my friends and order a soda or have a salad or a full meal. So, you have to have a tough stomach for it, but why not try it? Because the work is the reward. Yes, money is great. Money makes things a lot easier. But if you truly love what you do, you are fueled by that more than any paycheck.
And no matter what, you are going to work hard. I mean, you think about it, things are not given to us for most of us, and it's like but you do have to be really passionate about it. I think that's the one thing when people are talking about like maybe starting a brand, I'm like, you have to know your brand has to be you, because you're going to eat, breathe, sleep, everything. So you better love it, because it's all you're going to talk about. You're going to go to parties, you're going to want to not talk about it. And people are just going to be like, hey, what's the new fashion trend? Or what can I do for belly fat? Or this or that. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're going to talk about it all the time.
And you have to have that as your North Star when it gets tough, right?
Yeah.
When you get told no, or when your immediate product doesn't get received with, and a standing ovation. I think you have to be so secure and that you love it so much that leads you through those struggling times.
I love that. Yep. Very true. The Keep It Simple Sexy podcast is brought to you by KO Body Care. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You have a ton of high-end serums and creams for your face, but nothing of the same quality for the skin on your body. And that's where my company, KO Body Care, comes in. Our skincare products are made with the same powerful, transformative ingredients as luxury facial products, but they're formulated just for the skin on your body. The same goes for our supplements. We use only the highest quality, clean, plant-based ingredients that help your skin glow from the inside out. My two current firming must-haves are our concentrated firming serum. It's our award-winning total body serum to firm, tone, and deeply hydrate topically. I love to add it with our Skin Perfect Next Gen Collagen. It is so much more than just a marine-based collagen. It also has hyaluronic acid, phytoceramides, trace minerals, antioxidants to protect your skin, boost your collagen elastin, and help your skin glow from the inside out. If you're wanting to learn more about KO Body Care supplements and skincare, head to kobodycare.com and use KISS20 for 20% off your first purchase. Or another tip is get friendly with failure. And I hate to bring this up directly after we tell people to quit the punch card, but is failure inevitable?
Of course it is. You're not ever going to get anything perfect. Go through your Rolodex. Who's gotten it perfect? Okay. Look, Elon Musk just lost $40 billion of his worth. Oh, no, okay.
I got a Twitter and I was like, wait, I'm too busy. I can't read it this morning. On him.
So I think everyone's failed. And here's the deal. You can reframe failure. You can say to yourself, what did I learn? How am I going to take these learnings and do better next time? Yeah. And so for me, whenever I fail, I go, what did I learn through this? I don't sit and go into a shame hole anymore. I mean, I might feel like I want to lick my wounds for a couple hours, and then I get out and go, okay, learnings. What did I learn? Remember that for next time. How do I do better? And I think when you can train yourself to do that, I think I would liken it to exercise, right? You train yourself to get a certain muscle or a certain muscle group that will train your mind and thinking to say, okay, what did I learn? And then taking a risk isn't bad. We've taken plenty of risks and had huge, publicly visible, huge failures. And then it's like, okay, what was learned? Never again.
And truly, what is the worst that can happen from it? I mean, that is one of the biggest things I think of fear is the failure part of it. And it's like, there is no true failure. It's like a rolling, something that's just rolling, get back up, rolling, whatever. It's just but that is it. If you get stuck in the mud, if you don't, and your quote from the book is sometimes you win and sometimes you learn.
Yeah.
Well, thank God. I mean, honestly, winning sounds really boring. If that's truly all you were doing all the time, you would really miss those deep learning lessons that truly make us who we are and make the products, make us the better parents, make us, grow as we age.
I think you're totally right. I think anything would be boring if there was no challenge, and we're here to play a game. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a game. Sometimes, my husband refers to it as like an advent calendar gone wrong, where behind every door is like a rotting something. But
it's hard when we have a bunch of failures in a row. Yes.
yes. The other day, he's like, it's like a carousel on Instagram of just what next could go wrong here. And I was like, wait till I tell you what I'm cooking for you.
Oh, we won't mention the next one. Yeah. That's when you really get to pick yourself up.
Exactly. So I think that if you look at every time you're at your low, just know that on the other side of that, if you pick yourself back up and you don't give in to the victimness and the woe is me, and you attack the problem or you attack the challenge, when you achieve success, it feels so fucking good. Far better than if you rolled out of bed and didn't work very hard and, something great happened.
Yeah. You don't get anything. Well, I mean, you get a little bit from it, I will say, but not as much for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I heard you say on another interview, and it relates to your tip, forget about balance. And I love that because we hear so many women talking about how to balance their life all the time. But you actually said, throw the term out. Men never use this term. And I was thinking back and I'm like, I have actually never heard a man talk about balancing their life and that they don't do it at all. And it kind of relates. My mom also used to say something very similar to that all the time to me. She would say, you can have it all, but not all at once. And I have tried to prove that wrong as the stubborn only child that I am. And right now, going through an A raise, the global pandemic, locking down distribution, having 2 kids under 5, and being almost 7 months pregnant, I don't think I want it all anymore. So I'm totally about not balancing shit, excuse my language right now. But can you explain why you think men never use the term or look for balance? And for yourself as a woman truly juggling full-time everything. You are a mother, you're creative director of a global company. You have your charities, the female founded, you're writing books. How do you manage to keep it all together and your sanity?
A couple of things. Men have never used the term because men have also never had balance. You can go back to the caveman days, to the 1950s. They didn't get to like cry and show emotion and be vulnerable and take care of their kids. They were taught that this is what you do and this is the woman's job. And then the women's job, whoever this marketing genius behind the black curtain is like, haha, women should be able to be Betty Crocker and the amazing entrepreneur. And then we get set up for failure. These words are aimed at us. And, I think we can do it all. And guess what? You can't. I think the best thing that you can do is you build out your team. You delegate. You don't just think that no one can do it better than you. Maybe no one can do it better than you, but you will never be able to stop working and or focus on the things that are also important if you can't rely on someone. And yes, they're going to mess up. But that's everybody. That's humans. And so I think, it's taking stock of, what do you do best and what are you terrible at and how do you hire for that? And then how do you want, in the book I talk about life design, how do you want your life to go? I write these things down. It doesn't mean it happens right away, but I have these goals. Great. I want to start work at 10 a.m. I'm stopping work at 6 p.m. Did that happen when I said that? No, it took a pandemic to make that real for our company. And then you start putting in these boundaries and you start making sure you hold those boundaries firm. And then you kind of sometimes have to cross your fingers and again, rely on your team inside of the household and out. Stop trying to prove yourself. Stop trying to compare yourself to other moms on Instagram. I'll try and keep it short, but a story where there was a woman I followed on Instagram and I was like, okay, she wakes up at 5:30. She exercises. She makes a perfect breakfast and lunch for her kids and husband. Then she goes to work all day. She hangs out with celebrities. She buys expensive clothing. Oh, and then she goes out for a drink, but somehow is home in time to make dinner and hang out with her kids. And I was like, I am fucking failing, man. How does she do this?
There 2 of her?
Yeah, but here's the crazy part. We share a facialist, and the facialist, I was like, how does she do it? She's like, well, she's on pharmaceutical grade cocaine. And I was like, oh, that's the secret.
Oh, I laughed so hard because we both live in New York and LA. And guys, I hate to say the podcast with the amount of times that you hear what the ladies are doing.
Correct. So I was like, well, if that's how you have balance and achieve it all, like I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need the cocaine. No. So, but it just put it in perspective that here I was berating myself for something that can't be achieved unless you're on drugs. And so I think that, don't compare yourself, figure out what you want. And women want different things. You might be the mom who loves to work all day and never sees their kid. Cool. What does your household look like? Or vice versa. And how do you begin to put the boundaries in and keep them firm?
And I think too, like, as you talk about your support system for women who are just starting off and they're stay-at-home moms or something like that, they want to start their business. It is a full process of like, you're going to start adding your team as the company grows. So don't worry, like you don't have to have the funding to then suddenly throw it in. You could, I mean, you could go to a female founder and say, I have an amazing pitch idea. Here's what I need. You could do it that way too, and just totally jump the rack. And then it starts adding in, and it starts adding into your team within the house as well, to help support. Because for working mommies too, I mean, we all know, like you need that great team, and that doesn't make us anything less. If anything, you just get to not do the things that you don't like to do, like clean or whatever else it is.
Yeah, I don't do laundry anymore, and I am proud of it.
Yeah, I was never very good at it too. I always left it moldy in the dryer. So everybody's happy about that. So I love that. Okay, let's talk about this too. The trust your gut. Just a couple little tips left, but trust your gut. I think, how do you know when it's your gut, when it's fear, when it's something else, or a stomach ache? How have you learned when it's that feeling?
Well, I think if anyone listening does their research, the gut is considered the second brain. And in fact, 90% of some of the hormones and happy and mood producing feelings is actually produced in your gut, not your brain. So when they say trust your gut, it is a saying that is not only just, take that step back, take a moment, pause. What is your instinct? But also feelings of anxiety that you might be experiencing could be coming from an unhealthy gut and not about work. So I think you need to look and make sure, A, you're healthy, that you're taking care of your gut. I'm a big believer in probiotics. And then, when you have those moments of, ooh, should I make this decision deep down? I just went through it this week. Do I take a huge financial risk on a project that could potentially fail, as cool and as exciting as it sounds, stretching, the company to its max? Or do I take a minute when things are so unstable and so uncertain and come back when it's more guaranteed? And so I said, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, I'm going to lose out on something, but it's smarter for the company right now. So taking that breath, looking at what's the worst that could happen, what are the consequences, and am I okay with that? Yeah.
And I think it's about taking that time. We talk about meditation, but whatever that is to you, it's not necessarily like the Om sitting there cross-legged, but it's about finding peace within the day. If you're running in chaos, you never have time to truly think, like comprehend and feel that stuff too. I know that like there was like one major moment where I didn't trust my gut, and it was like something really big happened to our family. And it was like, from there on out, I kind of realized what that truly, like that sign or symptom or whatever, what it feels like. Sometimes it's harder to recognize, you do have to sit because you're running around so much, but I love that. All right. One of the last pieces here from towards the end of your book is that there is no destination, so be present for the journey. And I love that because especially now, everybody's always reaching for more. They want this, they want that. It's social media. This is beautiful for every part of our life, not just work. I mean, being a mother, if you're a student, my husband and I were just up at Pepperdine. He's a lawyer for all the law graduates he was speaking to yesterday. And it's like thinking of everything they're going through, and they got to pass the bar. But how did you learn this lesson? Because this is one of the most valuable lessons of life, I think.
I learned it because I had a series of things that I said, if I can just get to there, then I'll be happy. And I would get there and I'd be like, oh, well, not that I'm an unhappy person. I'm very happy. But if I could just get this, then that'll be what I have worked so hard to achieve. And I noticed it as an entrepreneur. Anytime I got there, I was like, okay, next. And so I was like, okay, let me step back. If I'm going to be doing that every time, I need to make sure I'm enjoying all the little steps. And so even when I first started on the promotion and strategy and marketing for the book, once I realized that my publisher is simply just a publisher, AKA a book printer, and I was going to have to do everything, I was like, you know what? When you're on the other side of this and you're a best-selling author, you're going to remember and mark in your head all these moments of everything you had to do with like one other support person to bring this book to life. And I really was conscious about everything that was a struggle and excitement, every milestone we hit. And then when I did become the best-selling author, I was like, yeah, bitch, I enjoyed and the highs and the lows of this. So it wasn't just this final exclamation point. It was the whole experience.
And probably made the end, right, more enjoyable. Like you said, like sometimes you would get to the other things and it wasn't. It was like you were then reaching for the next thing. And this was like, I did do it.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think just in life, making sure that you're enjoying all the nitty-gritty. It's like, sometimes as a parent, you'll say, oh, I can't wait for when my kid is out of this phase because gosh, this is terrible. And it might be terrible. But then I look back, I just went down and looked at pictures of my 3-year-old. She's 7 now and she was a terrible 3-year-old. And I'm looking back at all these pictures. I was like, she was so cute. Why didn't I enjoy it?
Oh, I have a spunky 5-year-old. I had a spunky 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. I'm sure she's going to be.
Oh, man.
I'm praying it swaps when she's a teenager, but I get it. And it's exactly what it actually made me think when with this tip directly was especially my children of like, not that I don't enjoy them, but you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired,
Yeah. Yes.
And it's just like, you got to enjoy it when they're having their temper tantrums or talking back. Or my 1-year-old's like, no, mama, you walk away now. I'm like, what happened? You were my baby. So I love that. Well, I hope that, there's so many tips from this. And honestly, as a wellness podcast, it's your fearless book. So many more tips in this book that this is the root, guys. We talk about wellness. We talk about simple things and coming from fitness and nutrition for so many years. Like they're so important as well. But also coming from behavioral psychology background myself, this is the stuff that starts to change your life first, where all the other stuff becomes easy. Trusting your gut of what's healthy for you to eat, what fitness you need to do, when you need to add it into your day. It comes from here. And all that stress and anxiety we hear about more and more now, especially because of what we went through recently. It is about taking it head on and finding out about why are we so fearful about these things, right? What's the worst that can happen? And then going after your dreams, because you're really going to be happy. And even when the worst happens, you're still going to be pretty happy. You're going to be like, you know what? I really went for it. And I did this much. And maybe I had a failure. I can do it again. So let's do our little speed round and I will let you go because you are a busy woman. You are a super woman. First of all, breakfast or fasting? Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting. I don't eat until 12 or 1 usually, I'd say.
Yeah. Normally not pregnant. That's what I do. I feel like I have more energy that way too for me. Like same. I just feel super heavy.
Yeah.
One more. What is one simple go-to, can't skip in a day, healthy habit that you have?
There is a product, again, I go back to gut health that I've taken that I feel like has transformed my skin. So if we're just talking about superficial reasons, I'll take it, but also it's doing good things. It's called Ion Biome. It's a mineral supplement to help repair like our gut lining that's destroyed by pesticides daily if you don't eat organic. And so I feel that's like, and also I'm like a weird stalker fan of the doctor that started it, Zach Bush. Just listening to him on a podcast, he has a beautiful view of humanity and health and wellness. And so that is something I do for my health. And I also run 2 miles every day. So I usually will put on a TV show that I'm binge watching and run on that treadmill till I hit my 2-mile mark.
I love it. My dad has run every day for like 40 plus years. So I'm all about the running. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, it's wonderful to meet you through our other female founded group that we have. And I'm going to look into the female founded stuff too, because I want to be part of your membership. You guys can find more at RebeccaMinkoff.com. I mean, the book is on Amazon. It's on, Barnes & Noble, anywhere you find books, you can grab it. Follow her at Rebecca Minkoff on social media, on Instagram. I'm going to leave you too with a little close. It's from your book. There's something that said you persevered. And it was part of your it may have been part of your stubbornness. And it was also part of not having anything spoon-fed to you. So it was, quote, success is the willingness to persevere when things go wrong. You have to keep pursuing your dream. And even when you've had your worst day, even when it feels impossible, even when you think you have nothing left to give, fearlessness is the courage to keep trying. So, and you put this in your book too, to all those girls with nothing but a dream, it's yours now, and go and get it. And I love that. Thank you for supporting all the ladies out there.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. A little more mature. Thanks, Rebecca. Have a beautiful day.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, write a review. I would love to hear what you think about this book and these tips. This interview was so important because I feel like everybody needs these kind of tips. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fearless day. Have questions you need answered? Text me at 1-310-361-8697. Make sure you're following me on social at Christine Bullock, and have a healthy, happy week. See you next time.